Well, last week I took a look at certain aspects of Issue 2 and the Lakota levy. Let's start with the levy. I told you that besides buildings and the upkeep of Lakota's 22 schools, a general levy in the state of Ohio for a school district also covers the amounts necessary for tuition and the state teachers' retirement system. Well, Kathy emailed to say your attempt to show both sides of the operating levy for Lakota was very distorted. An operating levy can pay for additional teachers to offer courses that will support the breadth and the depth of education provided by the district, as well as many other options. Well, not sure that my view was distorted there, but to Kathy's point, the levy could also pay for additional teachers. Which brings us to Darren's email, which questions whether the money being spent on teachers now is being spent unwisely. I did some independent research, he says, to determine for myself if Lakota's budget issues were caused more by a lack of funding or by unchecked spending. What I found was that from 2001 to 2010, revenues per student have increased 37.2%, 1.5 times the rate of inflation, while spending per student has gone up 48.3%, 1.9 times the rate of inflation. The biggest drivers in the spending increases were payroll and benefits, with the average teacher's base salary increasing 101.5%, a growth rate of 8.1% a year for 9 years, and 3.5 times the rate of inflation. Well, now to Issue 2. Last week I answered a viewer's question who wanted to know whether or not police, firefighters, and teachers already pay in part for their benefits. In the case of Cincinnati, I told you that all three do already pay 20% for health care on their 80-20 plans, but not so, says Jason, at least when it comes to firefighters. Regarding your Issue 2, Cincinnati firefighters pay 5% of their health care premium. It's in their contract. The coverage includes an 80-20 plan, which requires them to pay 20% of certain medical costs, but the premium contribution itself is only 5%. And our final email, your expose on Issue 2 only addressed whether public employees would pay more for health and pension, whereas all the advertising against Issue 2 concerns whether police and fire will be able to negotiate on staffing levels. The voters don't care if police and fire have to pay more. They only care about staffing levels. Well, first, it wasn't an expose so much as an answer to a question. But to your question, David, will voting for or against Issue 2 affect staffing levels? Well, that is the $10,000 question, isn't it? Both sides say if you vote against them, police and firefighters will lose their jobs. Those who say vote against Issue 2 insist that if you don't, they won't be able to negotiate safe staffing levels, and first responders will lose their jobs. Those who say vote for Issue 2 say if you don't, high pension payouts will force municipalities to make cuts to staffing levels. So who's right? Well, I know what I believe, but that isn't important, because in the end, there's no way for me to quantify what hasn't happened yet. And that is Reality Check. So there you go. If you'd like to make your voice heard on these issues, you can do so by commenting on my Facebook page. All you have to do is search Ben Swan, WXIX, and of course make your voice heard by voting tomorrow.